So today is Reflex's birthday. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here, like sitting on the couch co-hosting for a couple different reasons. But there's a chance he might be here in spirit. He's not dead, but he might be lurking in chat, watching and doing stuff. So in his honor, because today is his birthday, we have a monster truck themed show tonight, featuring monster truck stuff for GatorUNbox, as well as tonight's game, which is the monster truck game. And we'll talk more about the game after we get through GatorUNbox. But you guys know me. Every time we have a show on Friday night, I have to open it with, of course, GatorUNbox. That's a beautiful name. Beautiful accident. Just kind of fell into place. And to kick things off, the little scroller thing for the incoming transmission, whatever, said that tonight's unbox was Monster Truck Souvenirs. Now that's a bit of a strange, like, what do you mean Monster Truck Souvenirs? What, like the T-shirts you got from the rally or something like that? Well, no, these are souvenirs that are from the actual monster trucks. So I'd like to start this unbox off with something that is too large to actually show to this camera, so I'm going to have to show it to the loot cam up there and basically give me a reason to use this dumb thing, why I think it's a good idea. So when I say souvenirs from monster trucks, I mean from the trucks, from the actual trucks. So we've got some pieces and parts from the trucks, and what I've got right here, in fact, I think if I hold it up this way, it's a little bit easier to see on the big camera up there. And I can try to... it just fills the entire shot if I do this. But what I have right here, if you're a pretty big fan of monster trucks, I don't need to tell you what truck this piece of the fiberglass body came from. This is a very distinct shade of yellow. It's very bright. In fact, that camera up there is actually kind of washing it out. It's not doing it any justice. But this right here is a piece of none other than the Carolina Crusher, one of the oldest trucks that still competes in monster truck events to this day. This is a piece that was cut from one of the wheel wells. So you can see, obviously, this is, where the wheel, kind of where it starts. But this is, unfortunately, it doesn't have any of the graphics, any of the lettering is not cut out into part of this piece. But like I said, the yellow on that truck is distinct enough that just looking at it, you know what it is. Fans of monster trucks recognize it. It's kind of like how school bus yellow and fire truck red are like actual colors. And I'm serious about that. Like school bus yellow is like a certified, registered, like, you can't paint things that color because it is associated with school buses, and it even has its own like custom Pantone thing. So we got big old piece of Carolina Crusher, and again, just a plain piece, but this is the biggest one I have. So I figured I'd show this one out first to kind of get things started. Okay, let me show off the ones that are not like packaged and presented really nice. So that yellow piece, very distinct piece, right? That was Carolina Crusher. So this next one I have, I can actually just show off right here. It's another piece of fiberglass from a truck chassis. This one is not as presentation worthy yet as the yellow one down there is. But this piece, you can see on the back, it is just raw fiberglass. I'm handling it very carefully because these threads, it's just like fiberglass insulation. It's kind of once it gets on your skin, it proceeds to get under your skin. But this is a piece of the black section of a truck named El Oso Loco, driven by a very special person. He may or may not be watching the stream right now. So this is a piece of Reflex's truck. This is a smaller piece. Basically, his truck is bear themed, so it's brown and black, and this either came from the nose or the ears or one of the parts that are black. This is a particularly special piece from the first time he actually flipped over his truck. It's bound to happen at some point. You're gonna have your first wreck. That's a bad one. And he rolled the truck over, and it just crumpled, because this is only fiberglass, right? So it just crumpled the fiberglass, and it fell apart. And Earlier today, I was helping him prepare some of these for a giveaway or just for souvenirs and things like that. And this was one of the cutoff pieces that I decided to hang on to, just so that I'd have my own little piece. So this one is obviously the more special one in the collection. But like I said, it's kind of like whenever your kid gets their first haircut. It used to kind of be a tradition to keep a lock of their hair from when they were a baby. At least around here it was. So this is kind of the same thing here. What I got next is not a party hat. I'll just put it down here. It's it's very shiny. Like, I realize it's reflecting things very, very weirdly here. It's like distorting my hand. This is one of the many, many spikes that came off of the chassis of a little truck you might know. Maybe you heard of him. It's called Maximum Destruction. Maybe you heard of him. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you have. Maybe you probably have. They call him Max D now because I believe getting little kids to spell the word destruction on a sign is very difficult. And difficult is also a very long word that starts with a D. So Maximum Destruction is just called Max D now. But Maximum Destruction actually has a pretty interesting story behind it. Is this the Dragonheart truck? No. But Maximum Destruction began its life in the late 90s as a truck named Goldberg, after Bill Goldberg, the wrestler. And around close to the turn of the millennium, there were a lot of wrestlers that had trucks. You had, of course, Goldberg, you had Sting, you had Bret the Hitman Hart, you had the WCW Nitro machine, which was... I think Nitro was like the show or something, the wrestling show that was on TV at the time. So you had all these wrestlers had their trucks. Oh, I had Medusa. I think The Rock had a truck. Hollywood Hulk Hogan had a truck. And then, of course, there was one that was just NWO for New World Order, which there's a funny story behind that truck as well. What happened there is that was actually one of the other wrestler trucks, but for some reason it had an issue with like licensing the right to that wrestler. Something happened and they couldn't run the truck. So at the very last minute, they painted it matte black and got some white spray paint outs and just put NWO on the side of it. And then they came up with this whole elaborate ruse where nobody knew who the driver of NWO was. So when he was on TV, it would say like driver, and it was like unknown. It was some jackass wearing sunglasses or whatever. And then whenever they did the race and the camera crew tries to interview him, some guy would always step in and say, no, you want to talk to him, you got to talk to me first. And they did this whole thing. But I mention that because Goldberg was a surprisingly good truck for being something that was based off of a wrestler. This flash in the pan, WWF Crush Hour bullshit that was, they did it for a couple of seasons. And Goldberg was such a good truck that they decided to keep it after all the licenses for the wrestlers expired. So there was a period where Goldberg was renamed to Team Mintz after Tom Mintz, who was the driver of Goldberg. And then Team Mintz eventually turned into Maximum Destruction, and then is now known as Max D today. So Maximum Destruction was Goldberg, and this is a spike from one of the many, many Maximum Destruction chassis that have been flipped and rolled over and crushed and smashed over the years. I mean, if I kind of go like this, you can see there's cracks in it from where it rolled over and hit the ground, and this just snapped clean off the body. But it has a really interesting history behind it, just the journey that truck took, and it is still competing to this day. It's been well over 2 decades since Goldberg was even a thing, and Max D's still putting asses in seats because Tom Mintz, he just likes to hit that shit sideways when it's freestyle time, and then his truck falls apart when he does it. So there's a lot of these floating around, but it's just funny to have because, Maximum Destruction, Tom Mintz, some of the legends of the sport. Unfortunately, I don't have a piece of Gravedigger to go with this. Reflex does, but I don't have a piece of that. So we got those. I don't know if Sergeant Slaughter had a monster truck. I want to say maybe he did, but It might have been like I think there was a Sergeant Slaughter truck in the 80s, but I don't that was before the time at Goldberg. But WaveCube, actually, talking about you didn't know wrestlers had trucks. Anecdotally, Medusa, one of the WWF divas or whatever, I'm not sure what they're called, the women wrestlers, she was also one of the wrestlers that had a monster truck, except Medusa was different in that she drove her own truck. You know, like Tom Mintz, Bill Goldberg didn't drive Goldberg's truck. That was Tom Mintz. He was the driver of Bulldozer, and then he moved on to drive Goldberg. And but Medusa drove her own truck, and she enjoyed racing and driving monster trucks so much that she retired from wrestling to become a monster truck driver. And Medusa stayed on the circuit as the only wrestling-themed monster truck for well over a decade. And she was one of my favorite drivers on the circuit with like Monster Jam. She was always such a sweetheart. She was really pleasant to talk to. She really cared about the fans and all that. And I just thought it was so interesting, like her story to she's into wrestling, and you think that that's something that you want to do because you're all about the stardom and the action, but then like on a whim you get this opportunity to like drive a monster truck themed after your wrestling persona, and then you find out, no, that's my true calling. And that's incredible to me. That's incredible to me. That's why I love her so much. What I got next are actually some official souvenirs that you could pick up from the Monster Jam World Finals events that were previously held in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium. I believe they're held at the MetLife Center or they were for a couple of years. I'm not sure where now. I just know that with the coronavirus, who knows. But these are actual display-ready pieces of actual trucks that competed. This was quite some time ago. I think these actually don't belong to me. These come from the private collection of Mr. Reflex. So he gave me permission to use these and to show them off as part of GatorUNbox. So these come from his collection. I'm taking very good care of it. I believe that these were sold about a decade ago at the World Finals events in Las Vegas. And I think these are fantastic souvenirs. Obviously, I mean, they do... This little shield does come off, but this part doesn't come out. But if I zoom in close, I mean, you can see it is a piece of the fiberglass from the truck body. And it's mounted on a little stand, and it's a really neat souvenir. You get a little like 2-inch by 2-inch piece of the truck. Sometimes it's got part of the decal on it, sometimes it doesn't. But what they basically did is, whenever Blue Thunder, this is from Blue Thunder, obviously, the one that was sponsored by Ford trucks. So whenever Blue Thunder would roll over or break part of its chassis or a piece would come off, they would hang on to some of the more salvageable ones and then send them off and have them cut down into these squares and have those mounted on these little stands. And they would sell these. I think these were $20 or $25 at the souvenir stand. You could only get them from the World Finals event. And this is a pretty damn good souvenir. This is a really nice collectible. It's it's shelf ready. You can put it on display. If you're a big fan of Blue Thunder, then you have an actual piece of Blue Thunder, which is pretty cool. And on the bottoms of these, maybe there's a year, but they do come with certificates of authenticity. This collectible contains an actual piece of the fiberglass body from the Blue Thunder monster truck. The affixed hologram attests to its authenticity. And that was done by Mounted Memories Incorporated from Sunrise, Florida. So I guess what they did is they just had parts of the truck and they sent them out to Florida, which I think Feld Entertainment, who manages Monster Jam, they operate out of Florida, so they probably had some type of hookup going on down there. So we have Blue Thunder, and we have a couple more of these too from other trucks that have. I think they've all been retired. I don't think Blue Thunder. I don't think races anymore. Because Blue Thunder was basically here because it was a sponsorship with Ford trucks. So when the sponsorship ended, there goes Blue Thunder. Up next is El Toro Loco, not to be confused with El Oso Loco. Toro is Spanish for bull. Oso means bear. So this is a completely different truck. But this one, you know, like I said, I like the Blue Thunder one because you do get, I mean, you get kind of part of the decal in there, but this El Toro Loco really does just look like a paint swatch from like the Home Depot. It's just red. But I mean, if, like I said, if you were a fan of El Toro Loco, I mean, honestly, just having the red square, that kind of works out in the end, because, you know, waving around the red flag to kind of get a bull all crazy and pissed off. I mean, well, here's the actual red square, so it's almost cooler this way that there aren't any pieces of decals and stuff on there, because then it makes, you know, the bullfighting analogy work a little bit more like a matador type thing. But yeah, on the bottom, certificate of authenticity, they've all got one of those. So we got Blue Thunder, El Toro Loco. I'm pretty sure El Toro Loco still runs to this day. And they also have a version of El Toro Loco that's blue to go with like the fire and ice type theme. They have for some reason. Also, El Toro Loco. When I talked about Maximum Destruction earlier and how that was Goldberg and how Tom Mintz used to drive Bulldozer before that. Well, Bulldozer was retired and became El Toro Loco. So, you know. It's weird that these trucks can be traced back to other ones that are no longer a part of the show. Coming up next, this one's the strangest one to me because they actually had these as a truck. They were butt fucking ugly. I hated these, but since it's another one of those mounted squares, I actually like it. But this is a piece of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles truck. They had 4 different ones, one for each of the 4 turtles, and the difference, of course, was the bandana that was molded into the chassis. I hated these trucks because I feel like these were early precursors to Monster Jam just going off the fucking wall with their designs. A lot of their trucks don't look like trucks anymore. They're molded into weird things. These were kind of like turtles, and then you have like all the Monster Mutt trucks that looks like dogs. You've got Jurassic Attack was okay. It was modeled after a Triceratops, but it looks weird as a truck. There's just there's Megalodon, looks like a shark. Crush Station had like a fucking lobster. Like these, Blue Thunder was a goddamn pickup truck. Okay, I like that. El Toro Loco had, you know, kind of a molded bull face into the hood of the truck, but was still a truck. This was not a truck, but I do like the Souvenir because it's a neat little mounted piece of it. And yes, Wavecube, this was in conjunction with that cartoon from 2003. This was a tie-in with that, and this is one of the trucks that was run for a very brief period of time, and then not anymore. It was retired, I guess, when the license rights expired to that. They also had a Donkey Kong truck for a while, which was also very ugly, and I did not like, but they did, they had one of those. So we got Blue Thunder, El Toro Loco, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've got one more of these. I got one more truck part. And this one, I just got done shit-talking it, but this is from the Monster Mutt truck, the regular Monster Mutt. They've gone on to make Monster Mutt Dalmatian, Monster Mutt Rottweiler, and they've all got different color schemes, but the original Monster Mutt was just a generic, like, brown and black, like, dog-looking thing with floppy ears and like a tongue sticking out of it or something. And this one's actually pretty cool because if I can take the lid off and get kind of close to it, but this one's actually scuffed up. Like, this is from where the truck rolled over, and it didn't crack along all this, but it still ate away at part of the decal. So whereas, you know, these two are just straight colors from the truck, this one you get parts of the decal. And this one's actually real life battle damage. So I thought that one, I mean, that makes it, you know, it gives a little bit of character, it gives a little bit of story behind it. So these, like I said, these were only available at the Monster Jam World Finals events that they had in Las Vegas, and unfortunately, they really they really don't sell stuff like this anymore. The World Finals used to be the place to go to get literally like one-of-a-kind souvenirs, because they would sell these display-ready pieces for $20 or $25 a piece, and then they also would have larger versions of the trucks, like the side of Gravedigger, and it's been cut out, and you can read where it says Gravedigger. Whole big, just the raw fiberglass panel. It's been cleaned up on the side, so it's not sharp or anything like that. It's been sanded and, you know, made presentable, but it's not mounted on like a plaque or anything like that. But it's the raw fiberglass that says Gravedigger. They would sell that thing for like $750. I mean, and it's the only place you could get a piece of Gravedigger like that. So, you know, they run the gamut from having these nice little swatches that you can put on display, like if you only collect Blue Thunder stuff. I mean, this would be a neat little thing to have with the collector's trucks, and maybe, you know, the little figurines that they sold with it like that, and a little, you know, little trophy or whatever, a little replica thing. Like if you collected for specific trucks, this is like the perfect thing. I think these are really cool. But like I said, these came from the collection of FPS Reflex. He let me borrow these because we're doing kind of a truck themed unbox. But yeah, these have been some truck souvenirs, ranging from officially licensed, I guess you could say, presentable pieces of collectibles, to, you know, the stuff that gets busted off during freestyle. That normally, sometimes they just throw stuff like this away. So it's a lot of this stuff winds up in the bin. So I'm sure a lot more people have a maximum destruction spike than they do like these kinds of things, because if you're at the shows and you ask the right people, you could probably get away with one of these if you ask nicely. It would also help if you had like a kid with you and they really liked maximum destruction. But so we had those, and then we also had, of course, you know, the big Chungus piece from Carolina Crusher. I'm not even sure why this one was taken off. It doesn't look like it's been damaged. This may have been cut from a larger piece that did fall off the truck, and this was just one of the more presentable parts that they were just giving away or selling or something like that. So we got all the way up to too big to show on the normal camera to just right. So that's oh yeah, and Reflex says that these right here, these are exceedingly rare because they only I mean, like I said, they only sold these at the World Finals. And he says, Reflex right now says your best bet is to look on eBay for things like this. And like I said, they sold these for about like 25 bucks. You're probably going to spend a lot more than that these days. Especially if they did ones for like Gravedigger and Maximum Destruction. If they did, I'm not sure, because those would have been the ones that sold out the fastest. I'm surprised Reflex was able to get his hands on Blue Thunder and El Toro Loco, because back then these trucks were also really popular. But then these over here, you know, Ninja Turtles and Monster Mutt, I feel like these would have been the ones that were always in stock, which might have been why he wound up with a couple of those. But thank you, FPS Reflex, for letting me borrow these pieces of monster truck history, and to let me tell some of the stories behind some of these trucks for everybody watching. I know that not everybody here is as diehard of a fan in motorsports and stuff as we are, but I hope you found this interesting, at least, if not, you know, for the physical things, but for the stories behind them, which is kind of what gets me going. So that's gonna do a wrap on these, and I guess we could probably spin the prize wheel real quick, because I know we got time for that. Hey, thanks for checking out GatorBox on YouTube. We really appreciate it. If you like what you saw and you want to kick around with us live, follow us on Twitch, because we do this several times during the week. And if you want to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing right here on YouTube, following or subscribing over on Twitch, or even making a pledge on Patreon. Your support over the years has been tremendous. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video right here on GatorBox.